welcome to Round Glass. I'm Vishvapani Blomfield, and thank you so much for joining me in this session in a series exploring the qualities of awareness. So in today's practice, we'll explore how challenges can become opportunities. And the question we've asked in the chat is, have you ever received criticism that's turned out to be helpful? So it's not too late. We'd love to hear from you. So please use the chat to share your experiences about that. So I'm going to give an example, not exactly of that, but of the kind of internal choice that we find ourselves making. So I don't know if you have ever been on the phone to a call center and found yourself getting increasingly irritated. Well, I have had that experience quite a few times, more times than I care to remember, of, you've got a question, there's something that's not working, and then you go through some elaborate menu, and then you're put on hold. And eventually you find someone who's meant to be talking to you, and they could be in a call center anywhere in the world. Maybe their English isn't that good. And then you keep trying to explain and they don't understand. And this happened to me one time, and I just found myself getting more and more uptight, more and more tense. And I realized, well, no, I didn't realize. What happened was I noticed my body. I noticed that my stomach was turning knots and was like a volcano, was about to explode. And then I thought about this poor person in Bangalore or somewhere who was really just doing their job. And by noticing what was going on in my body, and then realizing what was going on in my mind, my emotions, I was able to stop myself from, doing something which would have really just been unpleasant for the other person and for myself in the end. So that was a really interesting experience about how it was possible to just interrupt that process, and that the body was a key. So that's my experience, and thank you for sharing your experiences, particularly about how criticism has turned out to be helpful. So one person says, the kids criticized my cooking, but now I'm a better cook. Well done for not losing it. Well done. Bruised my ego to be called self-absorbed. Well, yes, no one likes that. But I became a better listener. Excellent. Well done. After the initial sting of the criticism, it made me a better writer. Yes. I stopped being late and worked on being more punctual. Okay, so those are great examples of something that's really quite difficult. So much of our lives are governed by habit. We just keep acting in the same ways. We make the same mistakes. We do the same things. And the example of reacting to criticism is a good one, because we do all get criticism and none of us like it. I think I can say that with some confidence. But how do we respond? Do we crumble? Oh no, I'm terrible, I'm a hopeless person. Do we get angry? Or can we take what the person is saying as a helpful suggestion? So really the question is, what do we need to be in that more creative space? That we can consider what difference it makes how the other person expresses their criticisms, their tone of voice and so on. But what about me? And then we can also make positive choices. So choices are everywhere. We make positive choices. For example, Here we are choosing to do a period of meditation and therefore to engage creatively with our minds. So I think we can congratulate ourselves just on showing up, just on being here. So well done to you for engaging with this meditation rather than with all the other things you could be doing right now. Meditation is all about choice. In any practice, we can choose to be honest about our experience. We can choose to be more or less fully present. And then it's the same as we look at taking the practice into the whole of our lives. What we're noticing in our minds in meditation and the way we're responding to what's going on in our minds, that's a microcosm. And the same thing happens, the same patterns play out all the way through our lives. So we're trying to find that space to make a better choice. You can't make that happen. It emerges. You can't manufacture it. So it's not that we never react. Of course we will. But it's about whether we can work with that. Okay? So let's get on with the practice. And just setting ourselves up in a way that's right for ourselves right now. So I'll talk us through sitting up. You might be lying down and so on, but I'm going to talk about sitting for the practice. So finding a way to be reasonably upright. If you're in an armchair or something like that, just try not to sink right back into it. A straight back chair is usually good, or a stool or a cushion or something like that if you have those and you're used to sitting in that way. So we want to be comfortable. This isn't an endurance test, but we also want to be upright. We want to be alert. So just finding our posture. And you might want to just roll your shoulders a little bit or something like that, just to ease any tensions and to feel comfortable and present right now. Okay. Take a breath. Let's do that again. Let's take a deep breath. As we breathe out, having a sense of settling. And taking time to just feel that we're stopping. And this is really the starting point for meditation. We're on the go a lot of the time, being active in our bodies, active in our activities, and also active in our thoughts. And of course we carry that over into sitting. Active thoughts. It's completely natural that we have active thoughts. But how is it to just have a sense of stopping? Let's take a deep breath again. And this time really feel letting go as we breathe out. Maybe one more. Breathing in. We're going to breathe out long and slow and just really feel the muscles letting go. Just feel them easing, softening, releasing. Feels good. So giving ourselves some space to just be here. And what does it mean to be here? One thing that it means is sensing, feeling the body, noticing the senses. You can just do that with the contact with the bottom and the knees and the feet. So feeling where they touch the floor, the chair, whatever it is we're resting on. So not thinking about that contact, just sensing it. Feeling how our hands rest, touch our legs. Feeling the warmth of the hands. Feeling the whole height of the body. Letting the body rise up to its natural height. Straining, just rising. And letting the chest open as the body rises. Letting the shoulders settle. So feeling the body, noticing if anything in the body feels tense, tight. There may be discomfort or pain. We're just going to let the breath flow into that area. In our imagination, just imagine the breath flows deeply into the muscles and tissues and sinews and fibers and cells and capillaries. Wherever there's a sense of tightness. Letting the mind, the attention, rest on the movement of the body as we breathe. Breath flowing, body settling. And every time thoughts, images come and take our attention, we're just going to return that attention to the breath, to these sensations, rising, falling, expanding and settling. Breathing. Now, enjoying any sense of spaciousness, feeling more settled, connection with the body. So as we sit, as we rest, as we experience greater sense of spaciousness, just noticing our thoughts, maybe noticing any thoughts that have been going through our minds. Noticing if any of those thoughts include criticism, perhaps a criticism that someone else has made of us, or a criticism that we've been making of ourselves, self-criticism. And if there isn't anything in the present, then just noticing anything that that word, criticism, evokes for us. And how it feels to be on the receiving end of criticism. Maybe legitimate, maybe we've made a mistake and someone's pointed it out. Maybe not. Sometimes it's hard to know. Sometimes it's a bit mixed. But focusing not so much on that, on the content, as on the feeling that goes with being criticised. How does it feel? Is there anywhere, if you bring to mind an experience of being criticised, do you notice anything in the body? Noticing anywhere that tenses, tightens up, or is impacted? How is the body? Maybe there's a word that goes with this, but maybe not. Maybe it's just a feeling. You're just going to imagine that the breath is flowing gently, warmly into that area of tension and tightness. breathing in to the heart, opening, softening. Opening, softening. Now letting our awareness spread through the body, opening out. And moving away from the criticism and the impact, just to feeling the whole body, feeling the breath. And again, breathing in, and then as we breathe out, letting go. Breathing, settling. We're moving towards the end of the practice now. Just going to start making a transition. We can start this process just by noticing our experience, noticing the effect of bringing that criticism to mind, and breathing into the feeling around it. Breathing in to the criticism around it. Just expanding our awareness through the body, introducing a little movement, maybe rolling your shoulders. Help make this transition. Moving fingers. When we're ready, we'll open our eyes. So, at the beginning of the practice, I mentioned stopping, just having a sense of stopping. And even at the end of a practice, it's quite good to pause, to just allow space to reflect, absorb. And then, then we can move on, then we can engage. Just taking account of what happened in today's practice. So whatever happened, the practice is just to be with our experience. It's not about getting it right or wrong, just noticing and reflecting. So yes, so we're exploring that area of choice. We're exploring what it means to make a more creative choice. Someone said in the chat, what's the best way to handle being triggered by past criticism? Bat it away or sit with it? I'd like to make it disappear. Okay, so that's quite a natural feeling that we do just want it to go away, but we kind of know at the same time that it won't disappear. And Viktor Frankl, who is a very wise man who spent time in concentration camps, said the one thing you can't take away from me is the way I choose to respond to what you do to me. The last of one's freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given circumstance. So we don't have to react, we can choose something different. But how do we do that? Choice implies awareness. You need to be aware in order to make that choice. But how do we remember to be aware? That is really the important thing. The issue here is not about being aware. The issue is about remembering to be aware. And I think really it needs to become a habit. Yeah? The habit of coming back to our bodies, our thoughts, our feelings, just asking or just noticing what's going on. And that's why we talk about mindfulness as a practice. So the first part of that practice is doing a meditation, because then we're really allowing the space for choice to emerge. And perhaps you experienced that in the practice. We just settled, we had a little bit more spaciousness. So then when we bring in the criticism, it doesn't feel quite the same. But it's a practice through the day. And in that moment of reaction to something like criticism, we need to have that spaciousness available to us. It needs to be close to hand. And that's why we have to do these things regularly. That's why an element of discipline and regularity is important. So I'm going to finish with some lines from the Buddha in a text called the Dhammapada, which is a very accessible collection of sayings of the Buddha. He abused me. He struck me. He overpowered me. He robbed me. Those who harbour such thoughts do not still their hatred. He abused me. He struck me. He overpowered me. He robbed me. Those who do not harbour such thoughts do still their hatred. Hatred is never overcome by hatred in this world, but only by love. This is an eternal law. There are those who do not realise that one day we all must die. But those who do realise this will settle their quarrels. So thank you for sharing this time, and please continue to explore your meditation practice with us. Check out our daily live meditations at round.glass or on our app. Have a great day and stay receptive.